Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is Clyde. Today we're gonna cook up another Metro Boomin type beat. It's gonna be a little bit more spacey, but still hard, bringing those banging drums, right? So let's get right to it. I'll play you guys a quick little sneak peek. Cool, so that's the beat we're going to be making today. Let me show you guys how I did this. So we'll start out and look at the first melody that we did. So we used Omnisphere here. Let me solo this. Cool, so you can see I clicked in a simple four-step pattern here in every bar, right? So I started in D sharp minor. It's the key I'm in. I went D sharp, I went up 5, and then I used these suspended notes right here, the F and the F sharp. We doubled that, so we'll see that's the same for A and B. And then in C and D over here, we switch it up by just bringing these up a little bit, right? So it was what, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so we actually went up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, and we left the D's down, and that sounds like this. Cool. So the next sound we did is we went into Omnisphere and we grabbed this Buddha pad. And this just adds a little bit of shimmer. We'll use it to add some pacing as we get the choruses. Now, all I did is I just brought in my D sharp, went up 5 to the A, copied that over, and then just shifted this up to a B. So I just have that suspended chord going, right? But it's a fifth instead of a normal triad. Now it sounds like this. Not a ton going on there. On it, I just have some basic shaper box and EQing out a little bit of the low end there. Cool, so the next sound we have is out of the bass gut of Flare XP Electra X Bank. It's called Pad Bubbly. And we just went ahead and copied over what we had for the Omnisphere pad, and we get this. So it's just going to add a little bit of haunting, sound high end kind of in the background there. Now for the mix on that, we don't have anything. We're just EQing out a bit of the mid range here. It was just a little bit too harsh, and we made it a little bit stereo and balanced it in the mix. So then the next thing we did is we copied that over into an instance of Zenology here, and we just pitched that exact same pattern 1 octave down, and that gives us this sound. It's just a really nice background string that's going to just give us a little bit of low end and fill up the space of the melody a bit. So the last thing we did for the melody is we brought up Keyscapes, grabbed this custom C7 wash preset, and just threw in our root notes down here on D sharp 2 and D sharp 3. And for that, just a little bit of low end EQ and some Valhalla vintage verb. And that sounds like this. So altogether, the melody sounds like this. Cool. And then I should have also mentioned one thing here is I do have a high pass going on, cutting out all of the lows, but you'll see that I automated that in. So we'll touch back on that later, but that's why there's not as much low end in that melody that I just played you. Cool. So then after that, we came in and we laid an 808 and a clap pattern. So the claps are, just basic right here on the 1.3, 2.3, and so on. And then I brought in a just classic spins 808, right? And what I did is I basically used only the root notes, and then I pitched them up to an octave, and I brought a few notes up 5 here. So just a basic pattern where I have it hit on the 1.1, the 1.4, 1.4.5, and then we have another classic here on the 2.2. We copied that over. We just simply pitched this one up an octave to give us a little bit of a slide action going on. And then we just chopped up a slight roll here at the end. Now it's the same thing On the second half where we copied it across, it's just we took this roll and we added F sharp and F so we get a bit of that suspended action going on the 808s as well. Now all together, those sound like this with the melody. Cool. So then the next thing we did after that is we just copied that over into a kick layer. And the only thing I really did differently here is I just got rid of the kicks for the roll at the end. I don't know. I just liked how it sounded a little bit better. And then one thing I like to do, especially when I use a spins and I'm going to have sections with only the 808 versus the kick and the 808, is I come here and I click on my kick mixer track and I right click on the 808 and sidechain to this track. And then I pull up my sidechain or kick start, and that allows me to just add a little bit of sidechaining in here so that kick really shines through. So let me play you what these two sound like. Now this is without it. With it again. So we hear that just sits a little bit better in the mix and that kick really stands through, right? Now, after the 808, the kick, the clap, we had a nice basic bounce going on, right? So then I brought in a simple two-step hi-hat pattern, and I added a couple rolls. So I added just a little triplet roll here before the first clap. I have a kick right here, so I added in just another little hi-hat so we get a little bit of a stutter. And then right after the second bar starts, we have another triplet that sounds pretty nice. And at the end of the bar, we just extended this note over to two little four steps and then chop that up into a roll, mess with the velocity a little bit, copy that whole thing over, and that all together sounds like this. So pretty basic, right? For hi-hats for Metro Boomin stuff, you tend to hear he's not doing a ton of crazy rolls. He's really just setting a nice bounce with it, maybe a couple triplet rolls or a couple stutters here and there just to kind of accentuate some of what you have going on with the rest of the drums. So after that, we came in and I added a snare. Now I just have that snare coming right after the second bar starts, right before that kick and 808 comes in. And all I did was just copy that over for the full 8 bars. Then we also went in and we added a chant, one of these. And we just added that on the 1.2 and the 5.2. And we also did add some open hats. So I have some open hats here actually hitting on the 1 and on the 5. And then I added another open hat here just at the 2.4, and the 6.4 just goes nicely into that 808 on the 3. So with all those together, let's hear what that sounds like. Cool, so that was everything I had in the actual melody here. Now, after I had that, I went ahead, split that out, and laid out my track. So let's go through that. One thing I mentioned, right, is on my melody bus, I actually brought in an EQ with my high pass around 250, and I automated that. So we can see I have the high pass turned off for any points that we don't have an 808 going, right? So this whole entire section has 808s, but when we drop the 808 out, we also drop out the high pass, so we have some of that low end, right? But we don't want the low end interfering with the 808 and the kick when they're going on. So to lay this out, I took, just my basic melody. I brought that across the entire track. And I also brought that second pad, the Electra X kind of haunting, eerie sound pad. That's used across the whole track. We also use the string for the majority of the track. The only spots we don't have it are where we have, that high pass off and letting so the low end fill. We have our piano the entire way across. And finally, we brought in that Omnisphere first pad with a bit of the twinkling just for chorus spots. So you'll see we have it kind of sparingly. So every like 16 bars or so, we bring that in for 16 bars and bring it out. Then, we'd have our intro 8 bars, and I'd have a simple little riser where we get into an 808, a clap, a snare, the high or open hats, right? That's going to set us up as a bit of a pre-hook where we'll actually drop in right here. The kick comes in, the twinkling pad comes in, and the hi-hats come in. Leave that for 16. Then we drop back into a verse here where we take out the twinkles for 16. And I actually took out a kick here so we can bring the kick back in. It'll kind of have some nice build up back into this chorus spot. Now, when I bring the kick back in, we also remove the hi-hat, again, just to kind of give it an alternate feel here. Then we have our hook again. After that, we actually just doubled the entire beat, right? So that's just the intro again there. But one thing we did is we switched up a bit over here. We brought out the high pass again, which I need to actually correct. And we just left the hat and the snares going. But what I did is I actually changed the snare pattern. So we have a bit of that bump, bump, clap kind of action going on. And then added a slight little roll here at the end, just the transition back into the hook once again. And then just a basic outro. And I'm going to do one thing I do a lot. Is just bring over the open hat, make that transition a little bit more seamless. Cool. So let's go ahead and play this. Cool. So that was the entire beat. I hope you guys got some from this. Stay tuned. I'm going to be dropping a drum kit of my favorite sounds that, I kind of made and adjusted myself for free soon. I'm going to be dropping a loop kit this week as well with a lot of these dark kind of melodies that I've been making. And hit me up in the comments if there's anything specific you want to see. I might start doing some more in-depth tutorials that really get into how I'm mixing and leveling things. Whereas I'll probably keep doing some of these shorter tutorials where we're just focused on, actually making a beat here. So again, let me know what you want to see in the comments. I'm going to do more and more videos, so stay tuned for a few more dropping, and peace out.